Just imagine building one of the most profitable businesses on Earth with ever owning a single piece of inventory. This is the logic of frictionless scalability. When Amazon, Airbnb, or Shopee add a new seller or a new product, the cost to the platform is practically nothing. Their marginal cost effectively hits zero as they grow. Yet, despite this inherent efficiency, 95% of entrepreneurs who attempt to build a marketplace fail entirely within their first 6 months. These failures rarely stem from bad code or clunky app design. They happen because the founders couldn't engineer and balance a highly complex microeconomy. The moment you launch a two-sided market, you hit an existential wall known as the chicken and egg problem. This diagram illustrates the fatal loop. On one side, you have supply. On the other, demand. If buyers open your platform and see empty shelves, they delete the app. If sellers post their products and see zero buyers, they abandon ship. With both sides empty, the foundation immediately cracks. If you cannot force both of these groups to exist on your platform simultaneously on day one, the ecosystem dies instantly. Surviving this initial valley of death requires unnatural tactics. The first is constraining the market to force artificial density. When Facebook launched, they restricted access exclusively to Harvard students to ensure immediate, highly concentrated interaction. If you can't guarantee demand right away, you have to build a single-player mode, a standalone tool that provides immediate value to the supply side on its own. This shows how OpenTable executed this strategy. They gave restaurants free reservation software, locking in those supply nodes. Once restaurants relied on that tool, OpenTable aggregated those nodes into a public directory for diners to access. Then there is the manual approach. In its early days, Airbnb famously scraped housing data directly from competitor sites like Craigslist to create the appearance of a thriving, heavily populated inventory. Crossing this first threshold requires hyper-focused, aggressive, and often manual interventions. Passive digital growth does not work here. Let's assume you survive the launch. You have buyers and sellers transacting. Now you face a quieter, far more lethal threat: disintermediation. You successfully introduce a buyer to a seller. They pay your commission on the first job, but for the second job, they exchange phone numbers and deal directly off-platform, cutting you out to save on fees. Acting strictly as a matchmaker leaves you vulnerable. To keep both sides from leaving, the platform must offer a utility they cannot easily replicate on their own. Consider a platform like Parts, a B2B marketplace operating in the highly fragmented, high-friction factory machinery parts industry. To prevent factories and suppliers from making backdoor deals, Parts stopped functioning as a simple directory and positioned itself as a central bank and escrow service. Looking at this financial flow vector, Parts sits directly in the middle. They offer the buying factories a 60-day credit term, while simultaneously guaranteeing the suppliers a 24-hour cash payout. The factories get to stretch their cash reserves, and the small suppliers get paid instantly. Because the platform absorbs that massive financial risk, neither side wants to bypass the 5% transaction fee. It becomes a bargain for both. Retention comes from building robust financial and operational infrastructure that users cannot find elsewhere. Running a marketplace requires the skill set of a mayor. Success depends on your ability to set the laws of a digital economy over selling goods. Your job involves drafting trust policies, policing fraudulent users, and ensuring high transaction velocity. Before you burn capital building your platform, you must pass this diagnostic test. Is the market actually fragmented? Have you identified your hard-to-acquire side? Is transaction frequency high enough? Is the take rate fair? Do you have cash flow to absorb losses? If you fail even one criteria, the marketplace will buckle under its own weight. Solving this economic equation turns software into industry infrastructure, the kind that competitors find nearly impossible to replace. Mastering these internal dynamics creates a strong foundation, but relying entirely on your own platform to grow is eventually too slow. To reach true scale, you have to break past your own borders and integrate with strategic partners, mutually sharing resources and user bases. Next episode, we detail how marketplaces scale beyond their own borders through partner-led growth.